trying to rearrange my screen, but I may not be able to see the chat or a raised hand very well. So feel free to interrupt with any questions. And Michelle, please also moderate and let me know if there are any questions.
Will do so.
Okay, great. So what you see here is actually the landing page for the HDC. Right now it's in our development environment. But from here, we basically we put up a very visible banner telling folks that this is a dev instance. So even if you come here, you may find that it's a little unstable or excuse me, that it may not be available at times just because this is the environment that we are actively doing development as well. But coming in, you can log in. And of course, this uses the eBrains single sign-on as well. So you see that I get redirected to put in my eBrains username and password. And so coming in, this will bring me to the HDC portal with a landing page that shows me a couple of things. So for now, let's ignore this big banner at the top. I'll try to scroll down a little bit so it doesn't get into your visual area. But here coming in, you basically see three major sections, but you also see this little banner in the top. It feels like it's in your way, and it's kind of intended because we are able to put out platform-wide announcement to make sure that our users are aware of any upcoming maintenance. So this is a message that we've put out as a test saying that the maintenance will be at this time. Please save your work. Please try not to use the system. So this is a pretty easy way for our platform to communicate with our users of any kind of maintenance. Of course, I want to dismiss this so it doesn't get in my way. So coming in here, you basically see the three sections of favorites. So I have actually selected some files and some folder already to favorite them so I can easily get to them. And then there's also a section here giving me some sense of what I've executed recently. These are pipelines that I have run on some of the files. The platform announcement or some project announcements should be showing up in this section as well, but I found that little bug, so we'll fix that. And then here is a section showing me some projects or data sets that I have recently visited. Now, one thing I also want to show you is my profile, because sometimes you may be very involved in a lot of projects. You don't remember which one you have access to. So first of all, in this member profile, the username and the email address, that's all coming from eBrains IAM. And in fact, if you want to reset your password, you can actually go to the eBrains wiki and follow the instructions there to change your password. So we try and make it easier for folks. It does tell me when I joined the HDC and when I last logged in. And these are the projects that I have access to. And my role to these projects for now is project administrator. And then it gives a little bit of information as well of my journey on HDC, when I actually joined these projects and so on. So looking at the projects page, so this gives me a sense of the projects that I have access to. So for example, with this one that we're actively using, the Dev Team Test project, it tells me who the other members are, what the purpose of this project, so I know where to go to do my work. Now, it's possible to see other projects that I don't belong to. That's up to the project administrator to decide whether the project is visible to others or not. So if they decide to make it invisible, then only project members belong to the project can see it. So I'm just going to go into the Dev Team Test project to show you more of the functionalities. So coming into here, this is the project landing page. It has three major sections. One is just an easy way to get to the green room and the core. So just to remind you, the green room is where project files first land. When I upload the files, they will first land into the green room, and there needs to be a very deliberate action to move the files into core, presuming that the sensitive data are pre-processed into the green room, go through pseudonymizations before going into core for sharing with other project members. So this chart at the center, it actually also has some activities at the bottom by categories, or whether it is download, upload, or copy. This gives me a quick summary of what data has been, how much data has been uploaded over time, and approximately when they were uploaded. It's a quick summary. But if you want to look at a little bit more detail, here's a recent file progress into the project. And if this is not actually serving your purpose, you can actually do a bit of more advanced search. So for example, I'm curious who has downloaded data from this project. So I can set from January of this year, looking for any users who might have downloaded data. And I can see that Shan has downloaded this particular file on this date. So this serves a bit of audit purpose, especially as a project administrator. You may want to do some reporting or audit the activities in your project from time to time. So before going into the green room and core, I also want to show some of the functionalities for the project admin. So coming here on the side, I have an announcement section. So again, I can create an announcement that only goes to my project members. So I may want to tell them, hey, there's a data freeze next week. So basically saying that please don't upload any more data next by this date. So this is announcements I can put out to folks within the project, so it's easier to do the collaboration. And again, this announcement should go to the newsfeed on the MySpace landing page. Another thing I can do as a project admin is that I can come here and manage the users. So one thing we've mentioned before, but members have to be invited to join the project. So this is where I can put them the email address and then assign them a role, whether it's admin, collaborator, or contributor, and then invite them. They'll get an email invitation and they'll accept it, and then they can log in and accept the terms of use, etc., to join this particular project. I can also see existing members within the project, and I can change their role as necessary. If necessary, I can also delete them, removing them from the project. So that's for user management. And in here, there is a way to manage the project, do cosmetic little things like upload an icon to represent your project, give a little bit of description. And here, this is the visibility where you can decide this project is discoverable by all the platform users or only by the project members. Now, in here, there's also something called file attributes. So what happens is sometimes when you upload certain file types, you want to associate attributes to them as a way to more easily distinguish your files with the metadata. So this is something where you can define it. So for example, I've defined something called an ML session as a set of attributes so that this can be tagged onto the files very easily. The vocabulary is controlled, so that is much easier to organize it. Okay, so these are the project admin functions I'll show up to this point, but now we can go back to look at the files in the green room and the core. So here I'm going directly to the green room. This is actually my specific folder, and I've already created other subfolders in order to help organize the data. But because I'm a project admin, I can actually see the folders from the other members as well. So this gives me the ability to move any files from these members if they request it. They can only upload files into the green room under their own folder, and they cannot see other members' folders unless they're admins as well. So this really gives the tight control of only being able to see the files if they're only project members. But then after they have the files uploaded, they can make a request to the admin to move the files into the green room. So I'll show you all those functions as well. So going back to my folder, this is one that I have already added some data. So you see that there are 3 files there already. And maybe it has been a while. I don't remember what I've done to these files. So if you want to try to distinguish and follow along, it's the W01, W02, W03. These are what distinct the file names. So let's look at this W01. I don't remember what I've done to it. So let's say I can look at the properties. So it tells me that this is the file name, when I edited, and there's a system tag reminding me that I've already copied this file into the core. And I've also added some custom tags as well. And if I look at the file attributes, okay, let me close this and try to open it again. Okay, so for some reason I'm not able to see the file attributes, but let's see. Okay, so there's a file lineage here. And so if I look at what has the entire lineage that associated with this file, I see that first it was actually uploaded into the green room. And then there are 2 paths. One path here, it says that it was copied, and then tells me that it was copied into the core zone into this particular location. But also, if you look at a second path of it, yes, it was copied again to the core zone, but then it was eventually deleted. So by having this kind of lineage tracking, you can really see what has happened to a file, either upstream or downstream. And this really helps you have an audit trail. And I mean, copy is just a very simple pipeline, but you can definitely have pseudonymization pipeline or de-identification pipelines, so you understand what your data has gone through in terms of processing. So I'm not actually going to, I can actually do an upload of the data. I'm going to select one that is already on my computer. I'm doing a W04 file. And here I can choose any tags that I select. But also there are file attributes that I have to find. I showed you earlier, so I can choose the modality, the handedness, and then maybe do some comments there as well. So when I click upload, this will go into this particular folder in the green room. Just give it a second. Okay, so the file is uploaded and you see the W04, this is what it is. And I just want to quickly show you what is in the core zone right now. In the core, I've only created 1 folder. And in there are the 3 files that I've copied into. So the W04 that I just uploaded hasn't been copied over. So let me do that. So this is the file, W04. I want to say copy to core. Now, this is a very deliberate action. That's why we actually ask people to enter a code that we randomly generated to make sure that this is something they intend to do and not an accident. And so in here, I can choose the directory to copy that file to. And so give it a second. Right. Should get a message saying that I've got the file into the core. So coming in here, now I see this file copied over. Okay. Now, so the idea is once it's going, if the file is gone into the core, project members across the same project should be able to see that data that is shared and processed. So this enables the sharing of the data. Now, there's also a concept of data sets. So data sets, you can think of it as arrangement of a set of files, whether in specific directories or certain ways that you arrange it. And that data set have the potential of being released and with a release number on it as well. So I can choose any files to add to a data set, but I'm not exactly going to go do that here. But instead, I'll show you a data set I've created already. So this is a test data set. And it has a description, but more meaningful is to look at the activity. So you can see that I actually added 2 files to this data set, and then I simply made a version 1 release of it. Now ignore this because these were testing that I did, but instead now I'll show you after I've made a version 1 release, what else can I do? So coming into here back to the Explorer, I may decide to reorganize my data in a more organized way. So I may now create a folder called patient 1. But then I decide to move these 2 files into the patient 1 folder. Oops, I should have chosen. Okay, move. I need to expand the test data set and say move it into patient 1. So now I need to refresh. Okay. So now under the Explorer, I can see that I have a patient 1 folder and the 2 files are underneath it. Now I can also upload metadata to associate with this data set. So this is where the OpenMind schemas can come in. I can upload the schemas to associate with the entire data set I've just created. I'm not going to do that right now, but what I can do though, after rearranging my files a little bit, I can release a new version of it. And then I can decide whether this is a minor release or major release. I'll decide that it's just a minor release, saying that moving files into, and then I can just release this out. And coming back to the activities, you can see this has happened. So you can easily track like how your data releases have evolved. So that's about data files and data sets. So of course, the next question is, well, how do you process this data now that it's in there? So right now, we're still working on setting up many of the available tools. So it will be in the next demo that I'll show you how to use these tools for analysis. But just to give you a little taste of it, since Dushan has mentioned, we have already set up Jupyter Notebook is running. So it's possible to launch Jupyter Notebooks. Okay, so you see the 3 flavors of Python, Julia, and R. So you can do your work here. The other tools that we're working to set up, one is Superset, which is a business intelligence tool. The other one is Guacamole, which gives you a remote desktop into a virtual machine, and also the command line tool as well for getting your files ready for processing. So those, and then as Dushan said, there's an XWiki as well for each project to document share their notes. So those tools are in the process of being set up, so we'll show them next time. And the last thing I want to show you is actually this support pane that is integrated right into the platform. So right now for support, the user guide is something we're working on. It will be published as part of the XWiki guide. And then here we have the FAQ, and this section is actually completed. So if you're interested in reading a little bit more about the platform, some of the key tools, please do so and provide us feedback. We'll definitely welcome having feedback on the FAQ. And last section is the contact us. As Dushan mentioned, we're still waiting to set up that support email address. But once it's set up, you can actually easily come down to the bottom of the section to choose your category of your question, enter your email address, and then ask your questions right here and submit it. You can even upload screenshots and use noticing bugs. So we really try to have the support integrated as part of the platform. So that's all of the demo for now. And any questions from anyone?
Many thanks, Christina. I will just stop the